The Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, is questioning government's commitment to providing quality education to Ghanaian students, especially at the basic level. Now, according to the association, government has neglected basic schools and seemed to be prioritizing senior high school education, especially since the implementation of free SHS began. President of the association, Dr. Isaac Owusu, has been touring some basic schools as schools reopened today. He wants government to demonstrate to the association that it has basic education at heart and is committed to financing the schools.
Only a very solid foundation. There is no way you can get a very strong, complete structure. So if the attention of the policy formulators will be tilted towards the secondary school education, even though presently, even the secondary school itself, there are a lot of challenges there that our members and then the heads of the various secondary schools are facing. You see, recently Charles came out lamenting that even food to be given to the children were issued when the Minister of Education quickly mobilized something and sent it to the head teachers. So you see, the attention should not be at the SHS alone. We should also look at the basic school, which is the foundation, because if your foundation is not strong, there is no way you can build any meaningful structure. So I think that going forward, you see, when we meet the authority, we'll let them know and understand that, look, the basic school is key. It's our foundation. You see, the education ladder, it starts from the basic school. So we cannot do without the basic school and say that, oh, I have a nice infrastructure, I have a nice plan for the secondary school, and so we will make it. We cannot make it. We cannot make it. You saw where we went the other side. You see, so we are pleading and appealing to those in authority that we are begging them. They should take a second look at the basic education.
Dr. Isaac Owusu has also been lamenting the non-payment of capitation grants, unavailability of textbooks for student use and teachers' lesson notes as crippling basic education. He says teachers will not be forced to use their own resources to purchase such teaching and learning materials anymore.
Our duty as union leaders to remind the duty bearers, the policy formulators, that when we talk about education in general, it consists of several levels. We have the basic level, we have the secondary level, we have the tertiary level, and so on and so forth. But if you look at presently the basic school level, the challenges confronting the teachers, the pupils, the students, the parents, and the community at large, my brother, it is becoming alarming. You see, the practice at the basic school has been that as soon as school vacates, then management of the Ghana Education Service will start preparing to make sure that they get basic logistics for the subsequent term's work. You see, since school resumed till date, teachers have not been able to get what we call teachers' lesson notebooks. You see, today is 10th May. Teachers have resumed work. And if you look at the condition and code of conduct for teachers, it says that the teachers shall prepare relevant lesson notes in advance. And it is the duty of the head to make sure that this is done. And the question is, who is supposed to provide this lesson note? Sometimes we hear directors asking teachers to use their money to buy lesson notebooks. It is never done. This one we want to put on record that if you are a director or you are a head teacher and you are asking teachers to use their meager salary to buy teachers' lesson notebook, it is never done. It is.
So the president of NAT, Dr. Isaac Owusu himself, has joined us on the line. Mr. Kofi Asari, the executive director for Africa Education Watch, is also with us on the line for a discussion on this. Now, I'll start with you, Mr. Asari. How bad is the situation that we hear NAT painting for us just a short while ago?
Good evening to your cherished audience, co-panelists. I think that the picture being painted by the NAT boss is not a new picture. It's a very old picture. If you study the analysis of education funding over the past 10 years, you realize that basic education share of the education sector budget has reduced from about 55% in 2009 to 39%. Basic education has lost as much as 16%, of its funding within the education sector, over the period. And once you see a decline in budgetary allocation, resource availability, it means that, You are reducing the ability of basic education to produce more schools, renovate classrooms, provide textbooks, and provide all the resources that are required to actually deliver basic education. All the issues you are discussing are issues relating to resource scarcity. If you are not seeing capitation grant there, and it's because in the past 3 years, capitation grant has been in arrears in various tranches. 2009, there's a tranche that is in arrears. 2020, there are tranches in arrears. In this particular academic year, no tranche has been released. So it is a fact. Now, what you and I should appreciate is that the education sector is actually a cohort. It's an envelope of resources. If you invest more in one area, it is likely you will definitely relegate another area because we have a general issue of scarcity of resources. So you cannot optimally invest in secondary and do same for basic. So what we are seeing is that because of the free senior high school program, which has been a very successful program as of now, we are putting in as much as 25% of the education sector budget in secondary education. It used to be an average of between 17 and 18%. It's now 25. So more and more resources have been moved to secondary education, and less resources are available to basic education. I'll give you just one example. Prior to free senior high school, or prior to 2016, that's at 2015, students in basic schools were enjoying free exercise books. They were receiving free crayons. They were receiving free school uniforms. Okay, but after 2016 and 2017 and thereafter, we canceled these programs in the basic schools and rather introduced free uniforms, free exercise books, free notebooks, and free food in senior high schools. So if you study the movement, you definitely realize that priority has shifted from basic education.
But Mr. Asari, why should that happen when we have all agreed that the foundation is more important and therefore we need to take a critical look at the foundational level?
I'm not sure if we've all agreed to that. I think that there is priority attention being accorded what is a political promise and not a mere social intervention, which is a free senior high school. And so anytime an issue occurs in senior high schools, for example, shortage of food, you will see a different level of approach by the Ministry of Education. Top 5-star approach, blue chip approach to solving the issue, disbursing funds within hours. But when capitation grant is delayed in schools 2 years, no one feels obliged because no one was voted for on the basis of basic education. Okay. So the reality is that the agency government accords senior high schools or free senior high school is because it is not just a social intervention program, it is a political promise. But basic education
so you stay with me. Let me bring in the NAT president, Dr. Isaac Osu, who is also with us on the phone line. Ms. Osu, have you had any engagement with government over this state, and what have the resolutions been?
Well, my brother, thank you very much. And let me say a very good evening to your cherished viewers. The issues we have raised are not new to the powers that be. And when we talk of engagement, as a union, we've been engaging the Ministry of Education and the management of Ghana Education Service. And we shall continue to engage them. But the fact is that we'll have to draw the attention of those in authority that if you look at the basic education in the country, if we don't take a second look at it and we leave things the way they are, it will go a long way to warriors of a nation. So that is why we are bringing this the issues out again, so that at least we all can address it as equal.
Now, as an association, what length are you willing to go to ensure these concerns are addressed?
Definitely, we will have no option than to meet the powers that be for us to put our heads together to find a lasting solution to some of these challenges. Because sometimes it baffles some of us. that a basic logistics that the teacher will need, a textbook that the pupil or the student will need as a reference material. Anytime school resume, we have to go back to the same issue and then be discussing it day in, day out. I think that it is high time that the Ministry of Education, together with the Ghana Education Service, find a lasting solution to some of these challenges so that at least we'll resume school and then we will have the peace of mind to do our work, my brother.
All right, thank you. Ms. Asari, in wrapping up, what would be your proposal in trying to resolve this challenge that we have on our hands?
Government keeps making the point that basic education is a priority. Our recommendation is that if basic education is a priority, government must make it manifest in the release and allocation of funds. Because as the Catholics say, you don't run a church with Hail Marys, you need cash. Basic education in terms of financial prioritization must be seen, same as has been done to senior high schools. If we see capitation grant being released timely and delays being seen as an emergency, like the way delays or obstruction in the supply of food is seen as an emergency in senior high schools. If we see the issue of 25% of primary schools not having junior high schools becoming an emergency, and if we see 5,000 primary schools under trees and sheds being an emergency by committing funds and not just announcing projects that we don't see on the ground to resolve them, then we will see that truly basic education is also government priority. So we will advise government that government should let resource allocation and the release of resources to do the talking in terms of basic education being one of its priorities, instead of the mere nomenclature, the mere pronouncement that basic education is government's priority. If we strengthen the quality of basic education, we will improve the quality of secondary education, because basic education is the foundation of secondary education.